It's Wednesday, it's another technique lesson day, and today's technique is talking about proper posture for both the upright and the bass guitar. There are a lot more physical demands in proper posture for the upright bass, but I will go over both in case there are some of you who are interested in learning the upright. There are two main ways of playing the upright. There's sitting and there's standing. I'm going to show you how to stand because when you're sitting, it's really more about positioning it the right way so that you can still play it correctly. I tend to play it like a cello when I sit down, but I'm going to go over standing with you. Now, when you're standing, you want to have proper standing posture at all times. So you want to tuck your waist underneath your spine. And if you've taken any sort of dance class, martial arts class, this is an important thing. You want your hips to be positioned directly under your spine so that there is that kind of direct support. You also want your knees bent so that your knees don't lock up and, cause pain problems down the line. You want to position the bass so that this part here is not so much digging, but is balanced up against your stomach. This way, you have just having a balance point allows you to keep the bass up without having to hold it up with your left hand so much. Unlike the bass guitar, there are no lefty upright basses. You have to play it like right-handedly. That's just how classical instruments work. But again, waist under your spine for support, knees bent, and balance it against your waist. Your right arm, your bowing arm, I'll grab a bow. You want to try to keep it behind this part of the bass as much as possible. This allows more strength to pull the bow from your back. It's not about pulling with your arm. It's not the same as a violin in that regard. It's about pulling with your back. The more strength on the upright comes from pulling with your back. When you hold it, there are two different ways. There are two different bows. I play with a French bow. You want to hold it so that there's more weight being put on your index finger, so that you can guide the bow, with that index finger, either pulling it when you're doing a down bow, you pull on it like that, or when you're playing an up bow, you dip your finger a little bit so that it can go that way. Your thumb should rest up against the frog here at this point, or somewhere in that proximity. You want a nice clean balance in your bow so that you're not gripping it you're not holding it as tight as you can, because when you do that, your right hand's going to crap out on you. You want to hold it loose enough in your hand that it's not going to cramp up, but not so firm that it will cramp up. It's kind of like you're holding it loose enough that it could fall out of your hands, but firm enough that you won't. So it's a little confusing, but that's proper posturing and proper holding of the bow technique on the upright. Now, in regards to the bass guitar. More times than not, you're going to be standing. So you want the same kind of proper standing technique from when you're playing the upright. You want your waist underneath your spine, knees bent, so that there's not too many pressure points caused on your lower back that way. Positioning of the bass on your body is key. You don't really want to do this. You don't want to rest your wrist on a corner of the bass like this, because it's a point of pressure that will cause carpal tunnel. But at the same time, you also want to keep your arm up off the base of the body. Now, this can cause some stressors. I know it's a problem for me, just because I just got some physical problems that I got to deal with more effectively. So I wear it a little lower so that that when I rest, I'm not really, so that when I rest my arm like this, there's not, I can keep it up off the body of the bass, but not have it be so obvious like this. You know, the more that I keep my elbow up, the more that this part of my arm cramps up and inhibits my playing. But I also need to still keep it high enough that I can wrap around all the strings on the bass. I got really small fingers, and playing these low strings, very important. So it's high enough that I can still get to all the strings, all the frets comfortably, but low enough that I'm not, forcing this too much. You want to listen to your arm. You want to see when it's starting to cramp up, and if you realize that it's because you're forcing too much in terms of just forcing too much with your hand muscularly, rather than just letting it flow, letting it be all loosey-goosey and whatnot, you're going to get hurt and your playing's going to suffer. Keep it loose. Keep it floppy. The more that you use your muscle to force notes, force sound, force whatever, the more your playing is going to be inhibited, and the more that your playing will suffer.